Hi everyone. Now it's time to get into some more fun stuff with probability. Probability with a spinner and dice, among other things, are common questions that you will see when anybody's talking about probability. Remember, probability is the number of ways to get the outcome over the total number of outcomes that you possibly could have. You can write it as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. Now, when you want to find probability, you're going to get a question like above. See at the left how it says P, the big P, and then in parentheses it says blue, yellow, white or blue, not white. That is how you normally see probability questions look written. They don't normally spell out the word probability. They'll use that big P. So a bag contains 5 blue socks, 4 white socks, and 3 yellow socks. The first thing you want to do with every probability question is figure out what the total number of outcomes there could possibly be. That means the total would be, I'm going to add up 5 plus 4 plus 3. Those are the possibilities that I have. So I have a total of 12 possible outcomes here. That means I have 12 socks. All right, so if I added them all up, you're going to see that there's 12. So now it says, what is the probability that you're going to choose a blue sock? Say you're putting your hand in the drawer of socks and you're just going to pull something out without looking. Well, you have 5 options for blue out of a total of 12. Now remember, you can also write that as a decimal and a fraction. So if I was going to write it as a decimal, that's the same as saying 0.42. Remember, we're going to round to the 100th spot, or 42%. So remember, we can write those in all of those ways. Now the next one says, what's the probability of a yellow? Well, there's 3 yellow socks out of 12 total. There's your probability. Sometimes we need to simplify that to 1/4. So make sure if we're simplifying our fractions, remember we always do that. What goes into both the top and the bottom number evenly? 1/4 is the same as 0.25, or 25% of the time I put my hand in that drawer and draw out a sock, it's going to be yellow. Now, what about white or blue? Well, now we have to figure out how many white or blue socks I have all together. That means you're going to count the blue plus the white. There's 9 of them out of the 12. And you're going to learn that that or word means something as we go on. Or means I'm going to put what I have together. And later we're going to see what happens if it says and. But today we're going to look at the or right now. So what goes into 9 and 12 evenly? What can I divide them both by? Well, you could divide them both by 3. So if I divided them both by 3, I'm going to find out that this fraction can be written as 3/4. So what is that as a decimal? It's 0.75, or 75%. Remember, changing a decimal to a percent sign is multiplying by 100. Remember to find the decimal, top divided by bottom. Now, the next one says, what's the probability that it's not white? That means I'm going to find how many socks are blue and yellow to put here. So if I look at the blue and yellow, I have 8 of them out of the 12. Again, simplify. What can I divide both of these numbers by? I can divide them both by 4. Therefore, I'm going to come up with the answer of 2/3. What is that as a decimal? Go ahead and put it in your calculator if you need to. You're going to find out that that's 0.67. 2 divided by 3 gives you 0.6 repeating, and you're going to round it. So there you have about 67% of the time. So now let's look at this spinner and think about probability with a spinner. If we're going to spin the spinner, what's the probability that you would land on purple? The first thing you want to know is how many colors are on your spinner. If I count them all up, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. That means I have 6 possible outcomes on that spinner. How many of them are purple? Well, there's 1 out of the 6 are purple. Again, remember that you can write this as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. If it asks you, you're going to say that this is approximately 0.17, or 17% of the time you're going to land on purple. And then it says, what the probability that you will land on blue or orange? Well, how many blue, how many orange do I have? I have 1 of each. That means I have 2 out of the 6. Again, simplify that down to 1/3 and then change it to a decimal and a percent. That's 0.33 or 33% of the time, I'm going to land on either blue or orange. Now, what if you have a dice? Remember, how many numbers are on a dice? There are 6 numbers on the dice. That means I have 6 total outcomes. What's the probability that you would get a 2? Well, how many 2s are on the dice? There's 1, 2. So I have a 1 in 6 chance of when I roll that dice that I'm going to get a 2 on it. So the probability is 1 over 6 or 0.17 or 17% if I change it to a decimal and 8%. Now here's where something comes into play if you had 2 dice. This one's a little different. If I roll the dice one at a time, what is the probability that you would get 3 on the first dice and 4 on the second one? This is where that "and" word comes into play. I'm not just going to add the 2 together. They're both independent ones. So if I was going to roll the first dice, I have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a 3 on it because there's 6 total numbers on that dice. On the second dice, I also have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a 4. Since I want to do both and it's an "and," which is a special thing, you're going to multiply these 2 together to find out that you have a 1 in 36 chance of getting a 3 on the first dice and a 4 on the second one. This one's a little different, so just pay attention if you ever see that "and" word, that it's a special thing. So go ahead and give your homework a try. Let us know if you have questions.